Good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Lillian Muli and this is Citizen Extra. Let's take a look at our news diary. And in the news today, the IEBC is expected to give rulings of the 7 cases it listened to yesterday. The cases involve several candidates who have been cited for breach of the Electoral Code of Conduct. Among those summoned includes Bungoma Governor Ken Lusaka, his rival Wycliffe Wangamati, ODM Starehe candidate Steve Mbogo, and his Langata Jubilee parliamentary candidate Nixon Korir. That is coming up also for discussion on Citizen Extra. And still on the commission, the National Super Alliance is expected to move to court today, and NASA will be seeking orders to stop the IEBC from commissioning the August 7th ballot paper printing to Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair. We will be keeping you posted on that. On the campaign trail, the Jubilee Brigade continues with its Mount Kenya foray. President Uhuru Kenyatta will lead his party for a whistle-stop campaign tour of Nyeri County today. On the other hand, NASA team is in Kitale in Trans Nzoia County, where they will address a series of rallies as they whip area residents to support their bid. That is coming up on Citizen Extra. On location, our reporters Sam Ogina following on the campaign trail. As we just mentioned, the NASA Brigade will be in Kitale, that is Trans Nzoia County. Sam Ogina will be giving us an update from that part of the country. In Kirinyaga, in Karatina, in Nyeri County, Jamlek Maina will be giving us an update from that end, where the Jubilee Brigade will also be seeking votes. And of course, in Kisumu County, we'll be talking to Laura Otieno on the latest from that end. That is on Citizen Extra. As we continue with news shaping the day, with me in studio this morning is Joe Mutambo. He's the Mwingi Central Member of Parliament, and also with us this morning is John Kagushia, who's a political analyst. Before we get into our conversations surrounding news shaping the day, we will be crossing over now to Sam Ogina, who is in Kitale, that's in Trans Nzoia County, where the NASA team is. They'll be addressing a series of rallies there as they seek votes ahead of the August polls. Sam Ogina, what do you have for us on your end?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Lillian Muli at the Communications Center. And rightly, as you said, the Opposition Alliance kicks off a 4-day charm offensive of the Western Kenya region, and they begin here in Kitale, Trans Nzoia County. A series of rallies actually planned for this particular Trans Nzoia County from Kiminini town, where they're going to land and then have several whistle stops that are going to culminate in a public rally in Kitale town. 5 whistle stops that have been arranged for the Opposition Alliance, actually to address their supporters here in Trans Nzoia County. Of course, it is the opposition trying to woo their supporters from this particular region, the western region as it were. And remember that this particular region has at least 1.9 million registered voters, and that is why the opposition has actually arranged for a whole week here in Western Kenya to begin with, of course, Trans Nzoia County. From Trans Nzoia County, they're going to move into Bungoma County. From Bungoma County, they will crisscross into Vihiga County, and then their charm offensive for vote hunting mission is going to culminate in Busia County, where they're also having several whistle stops just to be able to address their supporters, as it were. Of course, several issues that have been able to come across their previous public rallies, IEBC of course being one of them. And today, given that the opposition is going to court to challenge the award of the 2.5 billion shillings ballot printing tender to Al Ghurair, of course that is something that probably will also feature in today's public rallies. Plus also, what will the opposition be having? What will be their message to Trans Nzoia residents, given that Trans Nzoia is also a food basket of our country, as it were? So what issues will the opposition be addressing to residents of Trans Nzoia County? Agriculture actually feature among the messages that they are going to address to residents here, and what other particular issues key to, of course, the hearts of the opposition leadership, given that they are agitating for change in the leadership of the country, saying that the economy has been shattered and battered for that matter, and that they have the solutions of fixing the economy as it were. Of course, the Unga prize is also featuring heavily on their agenda, and given that this particular region is where maize is actually grown, of course, we saw that the opposition was quite categorical, saying the way farmers have been disenfranchised, saying that they asked for a price of, say, 3,600 per bag, but the government was only offering 3,200 then. So will this also feature in today's the address to the residents here today, given that this particular region concentrates mainly heavily on growing of maize? Of course, something else that we'll also be actually keen on will be the way that they've been distributing themselves, because we remember that when the schedule came out, the opposition had actually split itself into two teams, as one team beginning from the other part of the county, the other one from the other end, and then they're going to converge at one public rally at the end of the day. But today we understand that they will be moving together in droves, and they're going to actually begin in Kiminini and then fly around the county and actually culminate in an address in Kitale town for a public rally. And then from tomorrow, that is when we will see the opposition team split into two. One, of course, headed by Raila Odinga, and their second team will be headed by Musalia Mudavadi, of course, with other principals also involved, the likes of Moses Wetangula, Kalonzo Musyoka, just to try and drum up support and cover a lot of ground, as of course the countdown to the general election actually comes to nigh. Some of these issues is what we will be, of course, watching out, and of course, at the end of the day, distill what will be the crucial message that the opposition will be offering, of course, to the residents of Trans Nzoia County and to the residents of Western Kenya region, given that the Western Kenya region is actually perceived an opposition stronghold, given that they actually voted overwhelmingly for Raila Odinga, then the presidential candidate of ODM, but now given that even Musalia Mudavadi has come into the fold, and Moses Wetangula also into the fold, then this gives them a reason to buttress their support here in Western Kenya. And remember that Western Kenya has at least 1.9 million registered voters. These are, of course, the numbers that the opposition will be wanting to galvanize and crystallize to make sure that their base here in Western Kenya is strong. And of course, given that we've been able to see the Jubilee administration also trying to make inroads and forays in this particular region, with the Deputy President very keen in touring areas of Kakamega, areas of Bungoma County, just to make sure that they also have a foothold in this particular region. So Western Kenya has been a battle frontier between the opposition and the Jubilee administration. The Jubilee administration was actually here just the other day, last week, when the president was here touring, of course, Busia, touring, of course, Bungoma counties and Kakamega counties. Now the opposition just probably trying to undo what the Jubilee administration led by the president and his deputy did last week. Back to you and Lillian Muli at the Communication Center.
That's Sam Ogina. Many thanks, Sam, for that update from Kitale in Trans Nzoia County. That is Sam Ogina saying with the NASA Brigade as they continue with their series of rallies in that part of the country. We're crossing over to Laura Otieno, who's in Kisumu County, for the latest update on how things are shaping up there. Laura.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lillian Muli. And here in Kisumu County, various issues are going on. The first one is the nurses' strike. The situation is still the same in all government hospitals and health facilities. There's no nursing services being offered to patients. And of course, we expect that the meeting today between the Kenya National, the KNUN and the Ministry of Health, we expect the meeting to bear some fruit and of course bring an end to the nurses' stalemate. And of course, on to matters politics. Here in Kisumu County, there has been mixed reactions from these people about the 6-piece voting, which is what is being championed by the NASA presidential flag bearer. Some sections feel like they should be allowed to make their own democratic decision and not being instructed to vote 6-piece. Some feel that they should be in solidarity with NASA presidential flag bearer and of course vote 6-piece. And of course also we are anticipating the reaction of people. We will be speaking to them later on in the day following tomorrow's ruling, where we expect the court to rule over the presidential tallying issue, where of course NASA was championing that the presidential results be tallied at the constituency level, and of course IEBC had wanted to tally them at one common center. And of course in anticipation of the August 8th polls, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission is here in Kisumu County. Of course today is their last day of training. They're training the youth on peaceful elections and the need to maintain peace and cohesion and shun incitement and hate utterances towards their fellows. Some of the issues they talked about also included warning politicians against what they call balkanization, which is basically zoning and terming different sections of the country as specific political strongholds. They said that this is a recipe for violence that divides the nation across political divides, which is not healthy for peace and cohesion. And of course we will be following up the conversation, of course, here on the ground on matters politics, on matters health, and we will be bringing you the latest. Back to you, Lillian.
Thanks for that. That is Laura, and of course she'll be staying with stories making headlines in Kisumu County. With me in studio this morning is Joel Mutambo. He's the Mwingi Central Member of Parliament. We're also joined by Jonathan Mweke, who's the Deputy Governor, Nairobi County, and also with us in studio is John Kagusha, who is a constitutional lawyer and political analyst. In news shaping the day, in news making headlines today, the High Court yesterday cleared Wavinya Ndeti to vie for Machakos gubernatorial seat on a Wiper ticket. In his ruling, Justice George Orunga ruled that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission decision had no legal basis. IEBC committee had locked out the Wiper party candidate Wavinya Ndeti from the Machakos gubernatorial race on the basis that she was a member of two political parties, that is Chama cha Uzalendo and Wiper Party. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us in studio. I'll start with you, Mheshimiwa Mutambo. The impact of the High Court's ruling on Ukambani politics, the battle lines have clearly now been drawn, and Wavinya Ndeti is an eligible Wiper Party candidate.
I don't know whether I would say impact, because definitely it is Wavinya's right to fight, and in any game you have to play by the rules, and in any rules there are referees, and we always say referees' conviction is final. So if the court ruled that Wavinya must vie, then nobody has got another say. So congratulations to Wavinya, and I think I would leave it to people of Machakos to make their own choice. It is their democratic right, and it is their right to be given that freedom to choose their leader of their choice. If they choose Wavinya, fair enough. If they choose Mutua or any other candidate, because I believe there are so many candidates vying on that seat. We have a candidate on a Jubilee ticket, and we expect him also to give them a run for their money. So we cannot sit here and say so and so will win or this will win. It is left squarely for the people of Machakos to make their own choice.
And to you, Mweke, is this a boost for your party as a Wiper? Clearly, your party leader has been up in arms with the incumbent and indeed with the IEBC's decision on this matter. Is this a boost for Wiper?
I don't know if you'd call it a boost, Lillian. Wiper had a candidate for governor of Nairobi, not of Nairobi, of Machakos, and you know, duly nominated. The forces that are very scared of Wiper winning that seat, or should I say retaining, because it's a Wiper seat at the moment with Governor Mutua, forced another nomination exercise. So the second nomination exercise, where Wavinya won, became our candidate. Then they went and said that she's still a member of CCU. They went to the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal. It ruled that she's not a member of CCU, she's a member of Wiper. Then it went to the office of the Registrar of Political Parties, who's the custodian, Lillian, of all members of political parties, and they looked into her database and they saw that Wavinya is indeed a Wiper member. And then they went to IEBC, and to our shock, IEBC said that she's not going to run because she's a member of two political parties. So we wondered how does IEBC overrule the custodian of the membership of political parties who already said the Honorable Wavinya Ndeti is a member of the party? So what I'm reading into it is that the current governor has moved to a Jubilee ticket. He's realized that he's not as popular as he thinks, and that Machakos is a complete NASA zone and there's no room for Jubilee. So they're trying to do whatever it takes to knock out the Wiper candidate so that Wiper does not retain that seat. And that's why you're seeing all this malice.
And you mentioned that there are forces that may have taken part in this IEBC previous ruling or decision. If you like, is there a name that you'd like to name and shame? Are you perhaps alluding to Mutama, who was rumored to be behind Wavinya's rules?
No, you see, when you see somebody do something that just doesn't make any sense, then you have to conclude and make inference that there must be somebody who's looking at it from the background. Whoever that person is, you know they don't mean good. IEBC is supposed to conduct elections between candidates of different political parties. In this case, IEBC has gone completely out of its mandate. Number one, it's contradicted itself, because the same IEBC is the one that cleared Wavinya and Madoki to run as governor and deputy governor. Cleared them and gave them an IEBC nomination. Then a week later, they have an afterthought and they say, oh my goodness, you should not have been cleared. Now we have declared you. So now you cannot be on the ballot. So you really must make inference and begin to think, what's going on? Number two, what would IEBC's interest be on who a Wiper candidate is? They're not supposed to be deciding who political parties nominate to various electoral positions. They're supposed to be the referee to make sure that a free, fair and credible election is run. So when you see IEBC leaving their core mandate to come to Wiper and purport to choose for a political party who should run for an elective seat on that political party, you can only read malice, Lillian.
And Kagusha, do you agree that perhaps the IEBC was compromised? We know that yesterday when the High Court overturned its ruling, the IEBC's ruling, Wavinya said that, and I quote unquote, IEBC needs to be fair. If they could have consulted the registrar of political parties, we could not have reached here.
Lillian, probably I would just want to explain the process through which IEBC may have reached their decision, and maybe also make it a bit clearer to our viewers on the issue of the judicial review that was done at the High Court. And what I would want to say first is IEBC was presented with the names by Wiper Party, and the Wiper Party said, these are our candidates, and these are our candidate for the gubernatorial seat in Machakos. And so IEBC was right to have cleared Wavinya in that regard. But then an issue arose whereby a complaint was brought forward to IEBC. And you understand that as IEBC, they have a mandate to listen to the disputes, and there is that window which they are supposed to listen to all those disputes and then make a determination. And of course, when this came to their, to their attention, they had to make a determination. Of course, you understand they had about 300 cases that they were supposed to determine within a period of less than 5 days. And so this may have also brought an issue of time constraint to IEBC. But then the kind of determination which they made was about Wavinya being a member of two parties. There is a CCU party, and of course there is also the Wiper party. And there are credible issues when you look at the issue of membership to those two parties, because as late as Wavinya had already been taken in as a Wiper candidate, she had already put her signature to some of the certificates and documents, important documents for some of the candidates in CCU. And of course that shows you that she had continued also acting as a member of CCU party even after she had been given the Wiper ticket. Now, that aside, what is JR? What is the judicial review process? When someone moves to the High Court to have a JR or a judicial review, basically what they are saying is that we want you to review the decision of a body which is a legal body, and like now the IEBC, and the decision that we want you to review, we call it the order of certiorari. Actually, that's what was applied for, and orders of prohibition and orders of mandamus. Here we are asking, review the decision which was made by IEBC, and then prohibit IEBC from implementing that decision, and then order them, that is mandamus, to then include Wavinya's name in the what they are going to gazette. Now, why were they doing this? and what the judicial review have to do with this case. You know, according to Wavinya, if you look at Article 47 of the Constitution says that every Kenyan has a right to administrative justice, and whereby every administration action that is taken against any person need to be efficient, need to be expeditious, need to be lawful, need to be reasonable and procedurally fair. Now, that is argument by Wavinya Ndeti that I was not given a fair hearing at IEBC. And you see, the issue which she is bringing on board is not an issue of substance and content. It is an issue of procedure. And basically, that's what judicial review are all about. So, as to the issue of whether Wavinya was in that party or this party is not what was being considered. It was not the issue of determination. The issue of determination at the High Court was the issue of was the process followed in giving the decision that arrived at discontinuing or erasing Wavinya's name from the register or from the list. So that is what Justice Odunga has actually made a determination about, that the process was not procedurally fair for Wavinya Ndeti. So it has nothing to do so much with whether she was in this party or that other party. That really is the legal issue surrounding this case. And now they have moved to the Court of Appeal. And of course, I wouldn't want to comment so much on the issue of merit and the demerits of that case. I'm not very sure whether it's already before the judges or it's just a notice of motion which has been given.
Kagusha, you know, the IEBC has also asked for a copy of the High Court ruling, so we're likely to see a push and shove between the IEBC and indeed the courts. So what does that say about the independence of both institutions?
You know, the issue here, as I have said, which is being determined, is just an issue of procedure. Okay. And of course, you know, we also have Article 159, which also says that when the courts are making their determination on cases, they will also not have any undue regard to procedural technicalities. But in this case, we are dwelling on technicalities because a judicial review basically dwells on technicalities, not really on the content. So, whether you go to appeal court, the issue of procedure is an easier issue to deal with, because if you look at the time that IBC had, they did not have so much time, especially to summon these people and to do a thorough judicial case like the way it would be done in a high court. If the people who have been against Wavinya Ndeti had taken their case to high court, it would have been dealt with more expeditiously. But in this case now, it was being dealt by a committee which is dealing with the issues of dispute. And you see, a committee is not like you know, it doesn't follow all the due processes of law, especially when you look at the issues of civil procedure. It doesn't follow all those procedures. So it is very easy at the judicial review to find that kind of a technicality, to find it deficient in terms of the procedural and technicalities that are being followed. So it's very easy to find that. Okay. Even when you go to the appeal court, it's still not very easy to disregard. Okay, and we'll come back to that. To you, Mheshimiwa Mutambo, you talked about having a Jubilee candidate in Machakos, and therefore, of course, yes, the race is on for the Machakos governor seat. There are other candidates from other parties as well. You have a Jubilee candidate in Machakos County. The incumbent, Alfred Mutua, is also leaning towards the Jubilee side. So who are you rooting for, the Jubilee candidate or the incumbent?
First and foremost, Lillian, if you allow me, I would want to correct my good friend here, Jonathan, when he said that IBC is looking for problems in Wiper. IBC did not start this case. That case was brought to IBC by somebody who went to complain. IBC, they don't look for cases. It is people who go to IBC to complain. I just wanted to put that one very clear. And like our colleague has put it very clearly and elaborated in a very clear manner. This is the issue of the procedure which was not followed, and I think that is what is happening with this case. But coming back to your question, Lillian, the issue of which candidate the Jubilee is rooting for, of course, if you have your son, you will root for your son. Mutua is standing on Mandeleo Chap-Chap. Mandeleo Chap-Chap has got no business with Jubilee. We have a candidate who was cleared as a Jubilee candidate, and we will vouch, or if I go to Machakos or I go anywhere, I will support a candidate for Jubilee. I will not support Mutua because Mutua is in the Mandeleo Chap-Chap and I don't subscribe to Mandeleo Chap-Chap. So I know the candidate for Jubilee, and that is our norm, that is our procedure, that is what we are going to do. We will support all our candidates who are standing on Jubilee ticket, period. There is no two-way about it. Whether you support Uhuru Kenyatta, that's something else. You can support Uhuru Kenyatta as his preferred presidential candidate, but that does not mean you will not get a challenger in Machakos. So we wish the people of Machakos to make their own decision based on the candidate they feel that they will serve them better.
So yes. Do you think the incumbent should be worried with the recent developments of the High Court now declaring Wavinya Ndeti fit to vie for the Machakos gubernatorial seat, and indeed with you now saying that your support as Ukambani leaders who are in Jubilee is for your Jubilee gubernatorial aspirant? Should Mutua be worried? Where is his support coming from?
I don't know whether Mutua should be worried by who is vying. He should be worried what he has done for the people of Machakos, because people of Machakos will cry for development. They will choose a leader who will change their lives, and the question is, has Mutua changed the lives of people of Machakos? So I will not vouch for anybody to elect me simply because I belong to this party or I belong to that party. I will vouch for people to elect me as a politician based on what I will do to them. I will elect Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta because he has shown to the country that he can, he cares for Kenyans, and he can develop our country, and he can unite Kenyans. That is the priority number one, why I choose a leader. I don't choose a leader because he belongs to my party. I don't choose a leader because he is my brother. I don't choose a leader because he is one of my tribesmen. I choose a leader who can lead the country, who can lead the country, or who can lead the constituency, or what for that matter, simply because he is development oriented, number one, and he cares and he has the value of people, and he can deliver to his pro or their promises.
And Mweke, you know, you touched on the IEBC and came out very strongly. Of course, Mutambo there is disagreeing with your sentiments that the IEBC could have been compromised in this case. The Wiper Party leader has also come out very strongly, and also came out very strongly yesterday, you know, criticizing the IEBC for the decision that led to all of this as regards Wavinya's fate. How confident then are you that your candidate will be subjected to a free and fair process come the August polls, now that you have already cast aspersions on the IEBC's independence?
You see why I cast those aspersions, Lillian? I was cleared as a deputy governor together with Governor Kidero to run for Nairobi gubernatorial seat. And they asked for three things when we went for clearance. The first one was, can we see your college degree that is certified by the Commission of Higher Education that you have actually completed college, met all the requirements, and have a degree from university? The second thing, they checked the IEBC database to find out if you're a registered voter. The third thing, they checked the ORPP, Office of Registrar of Political Parties database, to check if you're a member of the political party that you have brought the nomination certificate for. So for me, I was checked for Wiper, and for Governor Kidero, he was checked for ODM. Now the same process went through with Wavinya Ndeti. They did check when she went for clearance if she was a member of the party that nominated her, which was Wiper. And they went into the database for the Office of Registrar of Political Parties, and they found in that database that she's listed as a Wiper member. Now it's very suspicious 2 weeks later that the same IEBC that checked and found Wavinya is a member of one political party called Wiper Democratic Movement Kenya, that they can now come and say, no, Wavinya, now you're a member of two political parties. And the chairman of IEBC actually rules the same and says, now we have denominated you because you're a member of two political parties. So we asked, where did the IEBC find that information? Because Registrar of Political Parties, who is the custodian of that information, has told you that you're only a member of one party. It went to the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal when CCU claimed that Wavinya Ndeti was a member of CCU, and they ruled she's not a member of CCU, she's a member of Wiper. So these are the two institutions that are hosts to that information. Why would the IEBC ignore them and make their own ruling without reference to these institutions? That's where the suspicion comes from.
And we are crossing over now to City Hall. Operations at Nairobi County Health facilities have been paralyzed after more than 200 doctors went on strike, citing mistreatment, unpaid salaries and delayed promotions. And Nairobi County Governor Dr. Evans Kidero is currently at City Hall. We understand that citizen reporter Wilkis Tanyabwa is there keeping tabs on the latest developments from that end. Let's cross over to City Hall.
We are coming to you live from City Hall. We will remember that on Tuesday, doctors staged a demonstration and marched all the way to City Hall, just demanding their dues. Doctors saying that they had not been paid. Some of them had not been paid since December. This coming just a day after nurses also staged a demonstration calling for the signing of their CBA. In the wake of this development, we are now joined by Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero to just tell us a little bit more about the progress of talks so far. Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps you can start by telling us what exactly is the status of talks so far.
Thank you very much and welcome to City Hall. I think we are dealing with two issues here. One is one of the doctors. The first strike we had was last year in September, which went to court and was declared as illegal. The doctors came back to work in November and they were paid. They were on strike for about 100 days. And those 100 days was an illegal strike over and above the strike which was in September last year. We made it quite clear to them that as a county government we cannot pay for days not worked. So what is outstanding is the 100 days that they did not work. And we are right now, I advise them that we cannot discuss payment of days not worked. However, if they wish for ex gratia payment on humanitarian grounds, we are willing to consider that, and I think that's the message I've just sent out through the county secretary this morning, that we are willing to engage with them, discuss with them, and so long as it's clearly understood that the payment is being paid despite the days not worked, the 100 days not worked, and it's not a compensation for the days not worked, but is an ex gratia payment on humanitarian grounds, and that one we're willing to consider, and that's the discussion we're having at the moment. And it amounts to 48 million shillings for the 100 days. All of the payments, there's absolutely no salary outstanding. I saw reports that there are some people claiming 9 months salary. There's no such thing, and all the allowances have been paid up to date.
Are they therefore back to their workstations at this point?
Well, the doctors are working. Actually, we're having discussions with the union leadership, and I think later on this morning they'll be coming to see us to discuss those terms of payments, the grounds for which we pay the 48 million, if being completely understood that is ex gratia payment on humanitarian grounds, but not payment for 100 days not worked.
Now, we also have another issue of the nurses who have gone on strike, which of course affects all counties, not just Nairobi County. But what impact has this had on the public health facilities here, and what is the way forward?
We have two cadre of workers, nurses, the ones that came from national government and the ones who are working for county government, who are working for the former city council. There was a difference in the pay structures of the national government nurses and the ones we inherited from city council, because these ones were paid a little bit better. FRC wanted to rationalize the payment so that there's equity in which the nurses are paid. So of the allowances that was agreed that would be paid, it was initially implemented for everybody, but later on SRC did say that it was exacerbating the difference in pay. So the ones who came from the former city council or local government was stopped, and the ones from the national government stayed. It's something that I've questioned, and we are going to rationalize. We're going to pay it. We're going to reinstate payment and see if there are other means and ways of rationalizing payment so that there is equity in the way which they earn. So I believe that as soon as this is done, in the next day or so, they'll be back to work. Yeah.
And of course, away from the crisis in the health sector, we also have you running for re-election this year. Just tell us a little bit about your strategy, because this is race that is shaping up to be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I only wish that Nairobians could be left to elect their own governors. You've seen that us in NASA, I'm the candidate for NASA with Jonathan Mweke. We've hit the ground running, and we're talking to Nairobians, and we believe Nairobians are going to elect us. Based on our record, the strategies that we put in place, the foundations we built, for which we are asking Nairobians to bring back and complete in health, in education, in housing, investments in housing, and all the other infrastructure. But on the other side, it would appear to us that the people we are facing are just decoys, the people whom we are facing as our opponents, and more specifically the former senator is more of a decoy, because we notice that unless the president is in Nairobi or the deputy president in Nairobi, they don't come out. And I think our message to the deputy president is he should let Nairobians choose their own governor. We saw complaints the other day that he interfered with nominations of the strong governors. So let him concentrate on being the deputy president and sell the strategies for their party. He cannot be the governor by proxy of Kiambu, governor by proxy of Nakuru, governor proxy of Uasin Gishu, of Kericho, of Bomet, and at the same time want to be the deputy president as well as the governor of Nairobi through proxies.
Thank you very much. This is the perspective you have had just as a health crisis, which has...
Could I just make one more comment?
One more comment.
I mean, the day before yesterday, the deputy president was in Tasia, and he delved into the issue of the plots which were sold by NSSF to residents, and now NSSF are being requested each every plot to pay another 900,000 for the constructions of roads. And we are working with the residents of Tasia. The tender that was given out by NSSF to do the roads in Tasia was 5.6 billion shillings, which the residents objected to. They came, we worked with our engineers. The realistic constructions of drainages, those roads and sewers is under 1 billion shillings. So the whole thing is exaggerated by more than 4.5 billion shillings. So I think that he should not involve himself, because it would appear, it would be concluded that he had vested interest, because it's well known that the person who was the head of NSSF was his person. The person who was suspended, the former Lagat, the person who issued that tender. We cannot allow Nairobians to be exploited. A job that can be done by 1 billion shillings, residents are being made to pay 5.6 billion shillings.
There you have it. Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero speaking on a raft of issues, among them the health crisis and the doctors' demonstration that we did see on Tuesday, as well as the nurses' strike and the county's position on the nurses' strike and how to end that stalemate. He has also spoken about, spoken strongly about the race to recapture the seat of Nairobi Governor. So those are a raft of issues and a raft of issues that he has discussed and covered, and we will just be keeping an eye on the negotiations. We do know that nurses' negotiations are supposed to continue today at the Ministry of Health, and we will be having a look, just trying to see whether at the end of the day there will finally be a deal on the table. Back to you, Lillian.
Thanks for that update, Wilkista. We're crossing over to Karatina in Nyeri County, where Jamlek Maina is following the Jubilee Brigade as it continues with its Mount Kenya campaigns. President Kenyatta will lead his party for a campaign tour of Nyeri County today. Let's get an update from that part of the country. Jamlek, if you can hear me, please proceed.
Thank you so much, Lilian Muli, in our live studios back in the city. And indeed, we are coming to you live from Nyeri County, where the president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, and his deputy, William Ruto, accompanied by a battalion of Jubilee leaders and aspirants, are expected to tour this county, being continuing with the tour of the central region in a bid to consolidate the Jubilee vote in this region. And in particular, today, they'll be traversing various areas of this county, that is Nyeri County. All the 6 constituencies, there are 11 stopovers that are scheduled, whereby the president and his deputy plus the Jubilee leaders that will be accompanying them will be passing by. Where we are is in Kiawariga. It is in Mathira constituency, and this will be the second stopover, whereby anytime from now we hear that they are still preparing to start this tour of this area, and so anytime from now we'll be proceeding in that tour. And to make us understand how the feeling is on the ground, we'll be joined by some of the residents who will tell us more on the expectations on the president's visit. Karibu sana mzee wangu, habari yako, na naomba utuambie jina lako na unahisi vipi kwamba rais anakuja katika eneo hili.
Mimi naitwa Samuel Homedeli from Kiawariga, Kichuga location. Ninafurahia mzee akipitia hapa Kiawariga studio, tunaangalia hapa tuone, tusikie yale haya atakuja kutuelezea. Habari ya maneno ya kula kwetu ni sawa, tunamtarajia tarehe 8.
Na labda matarajio yako ni gani akifika hapa? Labda ni masuala gani ambayo unatarajia kwamba atazungumzia?
Mimi natarajia akizungumzia maneno ya wazee sana, kulingana na maneno ya hospitali ile, madawa ya kutibiwa bila pesa. Akichukua hiyo neno tunaweza kufikiria vizuri sana. Ya pili ni kulingana na hii pesa ya miaka 70. Hapa Masera hatupati kitu hata kidogo. Ingalao tunasubiri kungojea yeye akuja aongee maneno kama haya ya kwanza. Ya tatu ni kuona vijana hii yetu wadogo, kulingana na miaka yao, hawapati kazi. Hapa wanaumia sana. Katika wengine hawafanyi kazi, hawapati pesa ya kufanya kazi yao. Kwa hivyo hii watu ni idle. Tukafikiria akikuja hapa aongee maneno ya hii vijana vidogo na vijana.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. That is one of the residents of this area who is expressing his expectations on the president's tour in this area. And also, when we were going on with waiting for this, we had an interesting discovery where there is a lady or a woman from this area who says that she has named her son after the president, and we'll also join her briefly so that she can tell us more on that. Karibu na utuambie majina yako na ni kwa nini umejitokeza mahali hapa kufikia sasa.
Majina yangu ni Veronica Wageshi Mwaniki, mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Kiawariga. Nimejitokeza hapa kusikiza vile rais wetu atakavyokuja kutuambia. Ni mwaka wa 2002 nilikuwa mgonjwa. Uhuru alinisaidia nikiwa na growth ya niwa nitolewe uterus. Alinisaidia, lakini baadaye nikaeka ahadi na Mungu, siku moja nitakuja nizae kijana na nimuite jina lake. Sasa ndiye huyu mtoto anaitwa Uhuru Muigai. Ile kitu naomba tu vile naweza Uhuru mkubwa naweza kutana naye, anaweza kutana na Uhuru mdogo, ningefurahi sana.
Naam, unasema kwamba ulimuita mtoto wako jina la rais wa sasa. Labda matarajio yako ukifika ni gani sasa?
Matarajio yangu ni vile kwanza vile anaweza kutana na yeye vile anaweza kutana naye kuhusu huyu mtoto wangu, ajue hata hapa Kiawariga amezaliwa. Ningefurahi sana.
All right, asante sana. Thank you so much, Lilian. Now, those are some of the residents of this area, Kiawariga area in Mathira constituency in Nyeri County. And as you can see at the background, several residents are also streaming in this area so that they can continue waiting for the president. He will be accompanied by the deputy president and a battalion of Jubilee leaders. Remember, this is the tour to consolidate the Jubilee vote in central Kenya. Remember, on Sunday, the president and his battalion was in Kiambu County. Yesterday, he was traversing various areas of Murang'a County, whereby he toured a total of 16 stopovers. But here in Nyeri County, he will cover a total of 11 stopovers in the 6 constituencies comprising Nyeri County. So that is some of the issues that are happening down here, and as we continue, we'll put our foot on the ground to ensure that we bring the viewer up to speed with everything that will be happening from this end. From Nyeri County, my name is Jamlek Maina.
Back to you, Lillian Muli, in studio.
Jamlek, many thanks for that update, and we'll be getting more details on the Jubilee Party campaigns in Nyeri County in subsequent bulletins. We're coming to the end of the first hour of Citizen Extra. With me in studio this morning is Joe Mutambo, Member of Parliament, Mwingi Central. I'm also joined by Jonathan Mweke, Nairobi County Deputy Governor and also a Wiper Party member, and John Kagushia, who is a constitutional lawyer. I want to get your final remarks on the High Court's ruling on Wavinya Ndeti's candidature for the governorship of Machakos County. Starting with you, John, as we close this conversation, let's talk about Senator Muthama, who has from the onset not been happy with Wavinya Ndeti's candidature for the governorship. We also know that he severed ties with the party leader and at some point actually disassociated himself from the Wiper parties. We know that Wiper still carries a lot of clout in Ukambani, and for years Muthama was a pivotal part of this party. His bad relationships or his bad blood between both the party leader and indeed Wavinya Ndeti. Do you think this will be of any consequence in the final outcome of Wavinya's bid?
Yeah, Lillian, one of the things I would say is the Wiper Party has had a bumpy ride, especially in the last few days, in the last few weeks, and you see the chairman of Wiper Party is a disgruntled member who actually said he resigned, and one of the reasons why the party has had problems has to do with the nomination process that happened a while ago in April. And you remember there was a lot of dissatisfaction, especially where the party leader was seen to be favoring one of the candidates in Kitui. And also you also remember some of the people who were actually belonging to other parties were seen to be preferred and were actually given the Wiper tickets, most of them without having to really go through what one would call a credible nomination process. Whereas the nomination process was a problem for all the parties, I think it has taken a toll much more on Wiper Party than any other party. You see, in Machakos we had Kiala, who was seen to be a more preferred candidate by Muthama, and of course even was in the party all along and was fighting for the party, and he was not eventually given the ticket. It was given to Wavinya Ndeti, and of course, as you can remember, the issue of nomination and even the numbers of voters that appeared for that nomination process was questionable, just looking at the high numbers that were there. Then you look at again Makueni. We have Professor Kivuza Kibwana also, who came on board, and he was actually not a party member for a long time. So it's because of all these that the older people who had sponsored this party for a long time felt like they were being sidelined for newcomers who did not have much stake in the party, and this is what has caused the problem. However, I would also want to point out that Muthama is in fights with his party boss. Muthama is also in fight with the government, and for him as a person, this does not help him, because you can't fight everyone. You can't be in a fight. You can't open a battlefront on every side, and eventually I think Muthama is the one who may lose much more than the party may lose. That is the Wiper Party. And I also do not want to think that those problems, especially with those gentlemen who are rebelling against the party, will eventually have a very huge impact on the party as a whole. But of course, you know, the candidate there, Alfred Mutua, doctor, is a formidable candidate. He's not a pushover. He's a person who is leading the third biggest party in Kenya today, the Maendeleo Chap. So he's not a person that you can also dismiss. He's not a person that you can wish away. So it's going to be a serious battle between the Wiper candidate and of course MCC and Jubilee Party. And I think at the end of the day, members or people from Machakos will have an opportunity to make their decision. And I'm not expecting so much from the court, especially now that this case, as I said, took more of a procedural and technicality dimension.
And let's get Mheshimiwa Mutambo's thoughts on the same, the fact that Senator Muthama's preferred candidate for the Machakos governor's seat was initially Bernard Kiala, who of course lost in the primaries to Ndeti. Muthama has also, strongly criticized the party leader Kalonzo Musyoka. But then again, he's also not in support of the incumbent, which is Governor Alfred Mutua. But aside from that, the cracks within the Wiper party and Muthama's influence in all of this, and how it's likely to affect Wavinya's bid, if at all. What do you think? My thinking on this, Lillian, is that actually it is not the wish of an individual which should be followed. We should not follow what Muthama wishes or what Kalonzo wishes. It should be entirely, and it should be left entirely for the people of Machakos to make their own decision on whom they would want to elect as their governor. That should be the fundamental thing to talk about. But because we know how our politics is played, sometimes people tend to lean on who they support other than the person they would think that this is the person who will help them do or achieve what they want to achieve in their either counties or in their constituencies or in their ward or even the country. People will vote, following their leaders, the so-called kingpins. But my opinion is that what will happen in the Machakos, the cracks in Wiper will cause a lot of damage. And Lillian, I'll tell you this for free. There is more than meets the eye in Ukambani. The discontent in Ukambani has caused a lot of acrimony between the combination, and like it has been said that there are so many people who have left work, I being one of them, and the reason is being that people are not being given their freedom to exercise their rights, their democratic rights of either choosing or associating or choosing the people they want. They are being imposed on, and it is all over. In Kitui, we were imposed to Malombe, whom we do not want. In Makueni, they were imposed to Kivoda Kibwana. In Wiper, whom they did not want in Wiper. And now here comes Machakos. And now that comes back to haunt one Honorable Stephen Kalonzo. And then the people who are surrounding Kalonzo, instead of them advising him accordingly, they are advising him and then jumping their responsibilities and going now to an institution like what Mike has been saying here persistently, and holding a lot of grudge with the IBC, that it is IBC. They looked at Wavinya's name and they found she is a Wiper member, and he's forgetting that there are demerits and demerits. We have timelines. When and what time are you supposed to be a member of this party? What time? The question is, what time did Wavinya become a member of Wiper, and what are the timelines and what are the deadlines to become a member? So those are the issues which are surrounding the entire thing, and I will tell you for free that what is happening in Ukambani, there will be a lot of discontent between the members of Wiper and also the members of Wavinya's party and also the members of Kivuda Kibana's party, because there are some who did not even agree with this decision to go to Wiper, and that will give undue advantage to the other candidate. I will call it an undue advantage because I, being a supporter or being a founder of Wiper, I was pushed out because of those same issues. That's why I moved out, and that's why Madam has moved out. That's why Musila has moved out. And I don't think all these people who have been leaving Wiper, they are crazy. There must be a reason why they are moving. And instead of the Batu Wiper, taking a back seat and asking them himself what is happening in Ukambani and what is it that I'm not doing right to correct the situation in Ukambani, it keeps on pushing each and everyone away. I tell you, today it's Mutambo, tomorrow was Mudama, the next tomorrow will be Mweke, and what is the future? Politically in Ukambani? Those are the questions we are asking ourselves. And if this is the trade, I tell you, Wiper will be a shell. Yes. And Jonathan, as we finish up, not to toot your horn, because clearly you're still a Wiper party member, but Mheshimiwa Mutambo is talking about the high-profile exits that we've seen from the Wiper party, which are likely to leave Wiper weaker, and therefore, of course, give undue advantage to competitors such as Jubilee.
Yeah, Lillian, allow me just to comment on the doctor strike before I get into the Ukambani politics. You saw the governor just now talk about 48 million shillings that is due to doctors who didn't work. And I just wanted to explain to the viewers some of the decisions you have to make as a good manager. 48 million shillings will collect all the garbage in Nairobi for 1 month. So you have to take a decision whether to take that money and pay staff who have not worked, or use that money to collect garbage. 48 million shillings would put medicine in 20 of our hospitals in Nairobi for a whole month, because it takes 2.5 million shillings to put medicine in hospitals for a month. So as managers, again, we have to take that decision. We have 48 million shillings. Do we put medicine in the hospitals, or do we pay staff who have not worked for that money? And that's why we are where we are with.
But if you allow me to interject on that, you put money on the those medicine in the hospital. Who is going to administrate that? You also need somebody to give those medicine, isn't it? So you have to balance.
I think Mheshimiwa Mutambu has come into government politics that he has no clue about. Yeah, it's about.
No, I mean, he has a valid. He has raised a valid question, Mweke. The administrators are, not at their workstations clearly. So how would that work?
Yeah, but my point here really is, if you had somebody in your house who's supposed to do some cooking, and they don't come and cook for the whole month, and then you have a child that you have to pay school fees for, who's going to school every day, will you take your 10,000 shillings and pay your cook who has not cooked for the whole month, or will you take your child to school? These are things that managers have to make.
But they're not going to school when they're hungry. So you have to balance for the future.
Yeah. So then, Mutambu, since you're in Jubilee and we have limited resources, why don't you go and tell the Jubilee government to pay
that is devolved to
72 billion
that the
government owes Nairobi.
Health is devolved, and this is
entirely
your responsibility.
And
you cannot run away from your responsibility.
So let's get a conclusion on this, Jonathan, because your county secretary said doctors will not be paid for the days they did not work, which of course the governor has also reiterated.
Yes.
The money that you will give from the national government, was it for allowances or was it for salaries?
It was supposed to be for allowances, which we paid in full. Now they are saying for the salaries or for the days that they didn't work. And you have the governor saying very clearly that now he is considering paying an ex gratia payment on humanitarian reasons. But I don't think Mr. Mutambu will convince me any one day that you need to take public money and spend it paying somebody who has not worked for it. A salary is supposed to be remuneration for production. What you'll be doing, Mheshimiwa Mutambu, and if you ever become a governor, I hope you never do this. But you take public money and go and pay people who have not worked for the public that money. And I don't think you can convince me or any other sober leader that it is good practice.
We are talking about managerial skills.
Okay, so the Nairobi County...
We are talking about
public money, and that is what is called misappropriation of funds.
So the Nairobi County has stuck to its guns. Jonathan, I'm understanding that doctors will not be paid for the days they did not work.
Yes, but we, as a principle.
So let's conclude
there's other humanitarian grounds, that's what we are looking at. Yeah, the Ukambani politics I've had consistently saying that Modama has moved out of Wiper. That is not true. Modama took a break from the senatorial race. You know, the biggest issue that we've had in opposition is elections that are not free, fair and credible. So this time around, and you had presidential candidate Mheshimiwa Raila say the other day that we have put in now a foolproof system where we're going to use technology to ensure that we do our parallel tallying. That way our vote is not stolen this time around. We need to protect that vote. And Modama is the one who's been put to head that. And you have had very clearly Modama saying that he's in NASA and he's supporting our presidential candidate Raila Amolo Odinga. There's no way you can go out and campaign for Raila without campaigning for Kalonzo. They come as a package as a presidency. So it is not true that Modama has left Wiper. About the exodus of Mheshimiwa Modama and other Ukambani MPs who have left, we all know why they've left. Some of them have cases in court. They need protection. So they thought protection would be in the Jubilee government. Some of them were broke. They needed money. You've seen people walk out of state houses like Mombasa with brown envelopes. So they left. And the Mwananchi has seen that, and that's why it's very, very unlikely that any of the people
that is a very
who left.
comment. No.
Any of
Jonathan, that is a very reckless. That's a very,
you got your chance.
You have to respect elected leaders. You cannot say somebody is broke and they have not been declared bankrupting by any court. You have to.
But we have seen you. We have seen you. Okay, let's see. We have seen you in court. We have seen you lock a pastor for 10 hours.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue.
Because
I have a case in Kalonzo Musyoka. I have a case in court in Kalonzo Musyoka. So going to court is not an issue. Going to court is not an issue. Kalonzo Musyoka is in court. Your party leader is in court with me. That does not mean anything.
You had your time.
You had your time to express your concerns about.
No, I don't need anybody's. I don't need government protection.
So why don't you pay your bill?
No, I don't. Who owes me? I don't owe anybody.
You have to lock pastors inside somewhere because you can't pay them their money.
You cannot. Why don't you pay doctors? Why don't you pay doctors?
They didn't work.
Pay doctors
first.
The issue is
we're not going to go back to the doctor's conversation.
If you borrow somebody's car, pay them.
You are being petty. Let me tell you. You are being petty. That's
so Lillian, we are just finishing up on the
No, you are being petty. You are being petty.
We are finishing.
You are being petty.
We're going to have to end it there now. That's all the time we had this hour, but we'll be back with more in the next hour. We're going to be looking at the IEBC summons. 14 politicians have been summoned by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to face its disciplinary committee on allegations of hate speech. We'll be back with more.